All right, folks, it is my pleasure to be with you today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started with our fourth and final session in this 4-week workshop series. I don't know about you all, but for me, it has gone by remarkably fast. I don't know how we got to Section D so quickly, but here we are, Section D, accessibility. I am grateful to you all for being here. Thank you for coming today so we can learn a little bit more about this incredibly important concept as it pertains to 8-week online course design and honestly, all the other modalities and term lengths too. Okay? Oops. Here we go. Some goals for the day. Okay. A few things that I hope by the end of the session you will walk away possessing. I hope that you will be able to employ accessible design skills to all online course content. And throughout this presentation, I'm also going to make a lot of notes that, hey, by the way, when you're in the physical classroom, this is important too. Okay. So again, all modalities are part of this conversation, but we're focusing a little bit more closely on online ed today. We also want to identify how accessible content serves all of our students at Long Beach City College and beyond. Offer accessible materials in all class modalities. There it is again. So no matter what's your term length, what's your modality, this is a priority for each and every one of us. And empowering our students by sharing accessible learning features that otherwise they might not be aware of. Okay, we've got some really useful tools that serve us and our students. I'm going to show you a couple that I think are worth prioritizing. And about me, again, here we are. I think most of you know me by now, but just in case, I've been teaching online for a little while. I get to teach anthropology in a variety of modalities and term lengths, and I am currently serving as the online education faculty coordinator, which just means I get to serve faculty just like you as we navigate the world of online teaching together. So again, I'm wrapping up this series as part of the 8-week course design work group. And it's been a very, very enjoyable time for me personally. Context, let me set the scene for you. And maybe some of you have been in all 4 of these workshops. If so, I should give you a gift. I don't have any, but even if this is just your first time, I'd like to recap just in a slide what's happening and why it's going on. Okay, so in the fall of 2024, LBCC will be offering more 8-week courses than ever before. Approximately 30% of all classes will be 8 weeks long. There are a variety of reasons behind this. A few you will see in bullet points 2, 3, and 4. Mainly, we've seen some really significant course success rate improvements in specific programs like math and engineering, family and consumer sciences. They've seen a lot of success in terms of 8-week students. Also, certain student populations, such as our Black and African American students or our Latinx students, have seen in some cases significantly higher course success rates in the 8-week term length when compared to the 16-week term length of the same class. And then finally, I do want to emphasize the impact this can have on our indirect matriculants. Again, I only learned what that meant like a year ago. That describes our students who came to us not right out of high school. So maybe they graduated high school, took 5 years off, took 25 years off, whatever that may be, but now they're back at Long Beach City College. Those are indirect matriculants. Those students with families, with full-time jobs, often the 8-week term length works best for their busy, busy schedules. So just a few reasons of why this is happening. In addition, if you are one of the faculty assigned to teach an 8-week course in fall of 2024, you probably received an email from me inviting you to take a survey last month. If you took the survey, and I'm grateful if you did, We got some really helpful feedback that has informed this workshop series and other initiatives too. I want to summarize the results based on the responses that we received. We sent the survey to 384 faculty. The responses were 50-50, approximately half and half full-time and part-time faculty, which is great. We need all those perspectives. 80% of respondents have already taught an 8-week course. Of the respondents, their primary concerns included the following, and these are the top 3. The top concern was students falling behind, which we addressed a bit in section C and section B the past couple of weeks. Next on the list is student attendance and participation at 19%. And finally, students being unaware of the 8-week course schedule. We've talked about this in the other workshops too, on how important it is to let students know in the syllabus, in our welcome emails, in our week 1 module and announcements, this course is 8 weeks long. It's only 8 weeks long. We're going to sound like a broken record, but I guarantee we're going to help inform at least one person enrolled in our class that says, oh, I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. And then they can make an informed choice to stay in the class or to choose another term length. Faculty in the survey responded they were most confident about the following 3 items. 1, effectively managing student emails, which is great because we want to be responsive in a timely manner. Secondly, covering the content, making sure that we're meeting the course content and the outcomes in the course outline of record. And then thirdly, encouraging and monitoring student attendance and participation. Now, in this survey, we actually did ask about faculty's comforts or concerns regarding items of accessibility, which is the topic of today's workshop. Accessibility didn't fall very highly on either one of those questions, which is good to know. It's good to know, what faculty feel that they are confident in or what they might need a little bit more knowledge about, which is, again, why we're here today. So some guiding principles for today's session. I've said this in all 4 of these. There is no one-size-fits-all answer to effective 8-week teaching. What I do may not work for you, and what the person in the Zoom box next to you does might not work for you either. That's okay. Your job, find out what works for you and for your students. That's the key. That is our job. It's an individual idea. Now, that said, there's some best practices that we can all adapt to and modify based on our individual and student needs. Universal design is good design. And I'm going to explain that in detail in the next slide or 2 on what exactly that means. But that's a guiding principle for the day. Also, I want to put in here too, as it relates to accessibility, Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act, the ADA, American with Disabilities Act. Okay. Our web pages, our Canvas shells, our syllabi need to be accessible. Okay. This isn't something that is a nice embellishment or a kind thing to do. This is a requirement. Okay, so that's why when I say this is something to prioritize, I really do mean it. It's something that when we teach online or in person should be at the forefront of our minds. And then lastly, the CVC OEI, or the California Virtual Campus Online Education Initiative, provides some very helpful tools and guidelines as we review our courses and as we build our courses to be accessible. So in that last item, the CVC OEI rubric, there are 4 different sections, which have been the 4 workshops in this series. The first workshop, if you made it, was about content presentation. The second workshop about interaction, how we communicate with our students in the online space. Third, was all about assessment. That was last week's. It was a good session where we talked all about the measurement of learning and what we might need to adjust in an 8-week course versus a 16-week course. And then finally today is all about accessibility when we create materials that meet all of our students' needs. Luckily, we have a lot of tools at our disposal. We just need to have the knowledge to use them. Part D of the CVC OEI has 16 individual items that we need to be aware of in terms of accessibility. Now, if we had the next 3 hours free, I would go through each and every one of them and show you exactly what to do on them all. But right now, we're getting the overview and the tools that will tell us what we need to do with these 16 items. Okay, we don't have time to go through each and every one, maybe another day. But right now, we're looking at the overarching themes. One of those overarching themes is this concept of universal design, which again is one of our guiding principles for the day. Really, we can think of it almost like a set of glasses that we're going to be putting on for the day and as we design our online courses. This is more text than I usually like to put on a slide, but I really like this definition, but I'm going to paraphrase some of it. Universal design is the design and composition of an environment so that it can be accessed, understood, and used to the greatest extent possible by all people, regardless of their age, size, ability, or disability. An environment should be designed to meet the needs of all people who wish to use it. I'm skipping down. If an environment is accessible, usable, convenient, and a pleasure to use, everyone benefits. Okay, this includes digital and built environments. And I love this last sentence. Simply put, universal design is good design. This comes to us from the Center for Excellence in Universal Design. I linked it here. They have a lot of great readings and resources for you if you want to check that out a little bit later on your own time. But let me provide you with a brief thinking exercise. Universal design. What is that? You can type it in chat. You can unmute. What do you see there? What's that image? I'm waiting. What is that? Not sure? It's okay. Looks like a couple of people are trying to type. Okay. Sandra's in the chat. Corner ramp for a wheelchair. Everybody sees the same thing. Okay. Corner ramp from this. Yeah, so Sandra, you see here, it's called a curb cut. Yeah, when the curb is cut into a ramp so that a person in a wheelchair can go up and down without having to bump down the curb. Also, this yellow pad here, it's a tactile platform. And someone who is low vision or blind, as they step upon that platform, they feel the bumps and they know, oh, I'm getting close to the street. That's why you'll see them in front of buildings right before the curb. So that, oh, yep, I know they know they're getting near the street. So there's two elements of accessibility. And in terms of universal design, think about it. I'm a parent. And when I'm pushing my youngest child in a stroller, you better believe that I value the curb cuts in the neighborhood and that it's inconvenient for me when they're not there. Same thing when you have, oops, my screen went away, did it not? Oh, okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Same thing when you have an armful of stuff and you get to push a button and the door automatically opens. Okay, that's universal design in our society. Okay. Yes, Rashad, Rupali, yes, Eddie, I see you in there as well. Yes, absolutely, 100%. This is what universal design looks like in our everyday lives. In fact, the term universal design originates from architecture, of building things like ramps or curb cuts or buttons that open doors that meet everybody's needs, regardless of disability or ability status. Now, what does this have to do with online teaching? Well, in our classrooms, the online ones, we are the architects. We are the builders. And as we build our online classrooms, we need to be aware of universal design, or UD, online. That can take a number of forms. For example, having alternate text with our images so that students with screen readers can get a description of whatever is in the image. Or designing a syllabus with accessible heading styles, which works well for a student using a screen reader, but also it's just a great way to organize a document. Offering videos with closed captions, accurate closed captions. And we'll talk about what that means in a couple more slides. So we are the builders in our Canvas shells. And just like an architect would design something universally so it serves everybody, we should be doing the same in our online classes. Accessible Canvas content. Right here, you've got 3 icons. In fact, let me just skip ahead. Because at Long Beach City College, we have 3 accessibility tools to support our work. They are the Canvas Accessibility Checker with this blue symbol, the Blackboard Ally Accessibility Checker with these different color symbols, and the POPTEC, or Accessibility Guide, which is this symbol right here. Again, a lot of colleges don't have 3 accessibility checkers at their disposal. So we're very fortunate to have these 3. And what I'd like to do is briefly switch over to Canvas and show you a little preview of what they look like and the different advantages or limitations that each one has. So let me do this. I'm going to go to Canvas. Yeah, I'll start with my homepage. Okay. So again, if you have been to one of my workshops already in this series, you have seen this course. I'm preparing it for the fall when I'm teaching a partially online or hybrid 8-week session. In fact, I'm going to jump over to a page. When I create a page, I'm going to do Meet My Professor page. Great. Okay, as we create Canvas content in Pages, we do so by clicking on the Edit button, and right away, we're met with our accessibility checker options. First one, and this is relatively new, by the way, near the top right of our text editor, it has an accessibility checker, or an accessibility score, rather. This is Blackboard Ally. Now, depending on the features of the page, it might tell us it's 100%. It might be orange and say, it's about 50%. Or it might be in the red and say, we have some things to work on here. Okay? You can click on this and it will tell you what might be missing or what needs to be improved upon, and often will offer advice on how to do that thing. Okay, so right away, that's a great visual reminder when we open up a page in edit mode. The second tool is the built-in Canvas Accessibility Checker, which is not quite as, it doesn't stand out as much as this nice colored score, but it's right down here. This little person in a box, and I suppose ours is red. The Canvas one looks blue, but ours is red because LBCC colors. That's cool. And clicking on that, okay, we want the balloon and confetti. We want to tell us no accessibility issues were detected. Good for you. All right. Now, if not, if I were to say, do something incorrectly, let's see if it will tell us what I did wrong. Oh, see, look. So I'm now down to 98%. If I come here and start messing things up, like changing a color, look, now it's telling me, uh-oh, now you have two things wrong with your page. I can come in and I can click, and it's letting me know I have inaccessible color contrast. In other words, why on earth would I highlight black font with a dark gray highlighter? Nobody can read it. And luckily, it allows us to just click and drag, and we can make adjustments to find something that we like. And I fixed it. Although still really, maybe we don't want to fix it just yet, because the third and final, again, it's this symbol right here. It's a P for Pope Tech, named after the creator of the program. Last name is Pope. It's right down here next to the cancel button. And clicking on that opens up the most enhanced tool of the three. And it's enhanced for a few different reasons. First of all, it alerts us to errors in the page and also alerts. Things that we should be mindful of might not totally be a problem, but we should look at it anyway. And we can open these up. It says very low contrast. Click on that. And it shows us exactly where the problem is. It gives us the detailed information on what's going on here, which honestly, we don't even need to know. What we really need to think about is how we're going to fix it. So we can slide these guys and see the colors change. And look, I'm passing. I'm accessible now. Oh, but I slid this one the wrong way and I'm failing again. So our job is to find the pass, and apply. And look, now I'm down to 0 errors on the page, right? This Pope Tech guide walks us through step by step what we should do and why it's important. Even for the headings. Okay, you may have seen me here. My first heading, in this case, my name, and then my second heading, communication. Okay, I'm formatting them with different heading levels. You can think about this as like a table of contents with the page. And these heading levels need to go in sequential order. So what that means is the first heading on the page should start at heading level 2. And then if that point has a sub point, then it would be heading level 3. Heading level 3. When you're done putting these sorts of headings in a Canvas page or a document, it should feel like a table of contents, which is what you see in the heading outline here. Oh, see, it hasn't scanned yet. Now it's telling me I did something. Oh, I did paragraph by mistake. Shame on me. And now we rescan. And now look. So they even indent heading 2, heading 3, heading 3. We could change them here if we want, but then it's going to give me an error again. See? So letting me know, oh, you made a mistake. So the bottom line for our accessibility check or checkers in Canvas, Blackboard Ally is a great visual reminder of how we are doing. Canvas built-in checker is great because it tells us right away, a little preview of what's happening. But the most sophisticated and accurate of the three is right here next to your cancel button. And one thing I really like about this Pope Tech tool, if you get stuck, click on the question mark. Drop in your email, drop in a message, ask your question, and your accessibility question goes to the online learning team here at the college. And we will be directed to the page that the question came from, so we can figure out, okay, what's going on here? We can help you. Right? So when you're stuck, you can reach out to us. Okay? Again, I have an hour-long workshop comparing and contrasting and differentiating these three accessibility checkers. I urge you, if you haven't done so, open up your courses. Take a look. Start with your home page. Start with the home page. Click on edit and then see what they say. You will find some differences. Okay, so if right here it's telling me 93%, uh-oh. But when I click on the Pope Tech one, no, I have 0 errors and only 1 alert. And it's telling me that I have a document in the page. But this document is my syllabus, which I've already checked is accessible. In fact, look, if I cancel out, oh, it's not showing right now, but there's often the green, orange, or red symbol next to our documents that will tell us how they are. So sometimes there are inconsistencies. That's why I say rely primarily on the Pope Tech guide. That is the most accurate of the three. Okay? So play around with that in your course if you have not done so already, because a couple of those are relatively new. Okay? Oh, sorry, real quick. I forgot I had a link here for you too on LBCC online education accessibility videos that literally walk you through how to do so many things. And many of them are 2 minutes or less. And then a few are a bit longer workshops like this one today. Like this one here, it summarizes and compares and contrasts those 3 different tools I just spoke about. So I implore you, check those out, and you'll learn something new, I guarantee it. But now let's talk about closed captions. Okay, closed captions, or CCs, must accompany all audio-visual content in every single modality. Along with that, when we provide content that is just audio, so just the sound, like a podcast or a recording of something, that needs to come with an accurate transcript. Okay, so everything typed out, whatever is said, that's the transcript. Auto-generated closed captions are insufficient. And I'll show you an example in a moment of how insufficient they can be. But we have approaches and techniques at our disposal that can make this realistically possible for us in the 8-week course length. Because when we're teaching a compressed course in only 8 weeks' time, the last thing we want to be doing is spending all this time typing captions ourselves. We have tools available that can streamline that process. Let me show you a couple right now. In fact, I'm going to go backwards and start with YouTube videos. Look at this. So in my course, here we go. In my course, I like to feature video content. And sometimes the videos are of me. Sometimes they are videos that I have found online that I think, ooh, that's really good for my class. I want to bring that in. In this case, YouTube is a common tool for many faculty. Before our workshop today, I went to YouTube and I typed in, what is anthropology? And got no fewer than 10 billion results. But let's see this first one right here. As a kid, and there's an advertisement. So let me mute that for just a moment. Of course, there's an ad. Okay, here we go. Yes. So down here, and I'll make it a tad bit larger for you, is a CC or closed captions button, and YouTube sometimes calls it subtitles. Clicking on that, okay, oops, enables them. Now it's underlined in red. But look at the top left corner of the video. It says English auto-generated. Okay, English auto-generated. And when I press play on the video, I'll turn the volume all the way down. You'll notice that the captions are there. And yes, a lot of the words are indeed accurate. But here's the problem. There's no capitalization. There's no punctuation. Some of the technical terms are going to be incorrect in these automatically generated captions. I compare it to, imagine opening up a novel and there's no capitals, there's no periods, there's no paragraphs. How are you going to know when one idea ends and the next one begins? That's what it's like for a student who's deaf or hard of hearing when they have these automatically generated captions. They're not going to cut it. So in this case, I'd say no thanks to this video, and I'll go back to my YouTube search. But watch. I typed in my search field, what is anthropology? I come over here to filters, and I select subtitles /CC. Now, these results are videos that have accurately reviewed closed captions with them. And look, I've never seen this one. I'm going to select that at random. Okay. When I click on the CC button, look at the top left corner. Okay, now it says English. Okay, not auto-generated. And we should be diligent. Always check out the video and make sure that they are actually accurate with punctuation, capitalization, proper terms, and so on and so forth. Once you've done that check, then we know that this video is acceptable for use in our online or face-to-face class. Kimberly, I see your hand. Please go ahead.
Yes. Let me cut on my video. Um, when we load YouTube videos from the app tool within Canvas, um, are the videos that come up only those that have accurate closed captions?
No,
Okay.
no. So when you do that, when you use the search tool to search YouTube from within Canvas, it is not filtered by closed captions.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
all right. Okay.
Yep. Yep. That's a good question. Thank you for bringing that up. And you know what? I'll even show you what to do next. Right? So here's what happens a lot of times. Let's say I've found this lovely video that I want to use in my class. It has accurate closed captions, accessibility check. Let me go to an actual page. This one will be fine. Okay, I'm just going to go down here at the bottom. Check out this video. And here's what often is done. Oops. There we go. We copy and paste the URL, and then we paste it into Canvas like that, and we click Save, and we get something that looks like this, okay, where it has a little tiny preview and URL link. Now, imagine that the student is navigating through our course. They see this link, and they click this link. Okay, it takes them out to YouTube. They have to watch an advertisement first. They might walk away and say, I'm not going to bother. Maybe they do skip it, or maybe they digress and start watching other things on YouTube. In other words, we've lost them by sending them out of Canvas in order to watch the video content. Let me show you a better way. I'm clicking Edit again, going down to that video, removing that URL. Okay, we don't want to use the hyperlink. Instead, below the video, and this is in every YouTube video, click the Share button. click the embed button, and then copy this code. Bring it back to Canvas. Click where you want the video to go, and then click Insert, Embed, and paste the code. Hit Submit, save, done. So now the video is within Canvas. It's got a nice preview here. That is loud. And so students they have an accessible video with closed captions. It's something that I like as the instructor, and they do not have to leave Canvas to watch that video. That's what we want to try and do with our audiovisual content. The same thing goes with the audio-only content, okay? Gosh, here is teaching in higher ed. In fact, I'm going to drop this in the chat if you want to check it out on your own time. It's a good podcast, and it has all sorts of podcast topics for community college and university instructors. This one is on culturally responsive online teaching. And look, so it has the podcast play button here.
At is other cultural value.
Okay, so it's like a radio show. But notice here, and it's rather small, but it has a transcript. And we can look at the whole thing here. This is everything that is said, and it's accurate throughout that podcast. Or we can even download it. Okay, so it's printable if a student wants to print out that transcript. So anytime you are thinking about offering a podcast like this, always check if they have transcripts first. That is imperative, okay? And again, some students might just want to read it. Maybe they're not auditory learners and they just read the thing. That's fine, because they're still getting the content of the podcast just by reading the transcript rather than listening along to it. And other students might really like the listening option. More power to them. Okay? Couple things to keep in mind. Now, I talked about when YouTube videos, how to filter our search. But I also want to share with you our own video content. Now, again, in my class, let's go modules, here we go. I will often provide a short video of myself doing a mini lecture. Okay, this one's 7 minutes long. And we have accessibility tools in Canvas to help us do this quickly and accessibly. Here's my process. I go into a Zoom, just like this one we're in right now, except I'm by myself. I go into a Zoom all by myself. I click the record button, and I record the file to my computer. Then I do my little lecture. I'll share my screen, just like I am now, do little slides, whatever that may be. And then once I'm done, I leave the meeting, and I get that little MP4 file. Then I come into Canvas and click on a very fun tool over here called Canvas Studio. Clicking on that brings us to a library of all of our video content. And if you've never used this before, there's not going to be anything here, and that's okay. But I use this all the time. In fact, today, before this workshop, I went in, I did the same exact process, and I recorded a short 2-minute video as a test to show you the captioning capabilities of this tool. Because look, I did this video, I recorded it at, what did I write down? At 1:40 p.m. this afternoon. I believe, yeah, 1:40. And look, I got an email today at 1:47 that my automatic captions are ready to be reviewed. 7 minutes was all it took for Canvas Studio to write captions for me. That's great. That's really fast. And so I click on the video, click on view, and there's a captions tab here. and it says there's English captions, but they are not yet published. Clicking on the 3 dots allows us to review and publish them. Okay, and this is what Canvas Studio does, and it is, in my opinion, the best captioning interface, better than YouTube, better than Zoom, because all I need, if I see a mistake, like this should say Canvas Studio instead of Canva Studio, I just click it and type it. Done. Now, I tried to use some technical terms like Australopithecus afarensis, and it got it. It got it right. Okay? Here I'm just kind of talking nonsense, but sociolinguistics, foramen magnum, sagittal crest. Janine knows all these terms because we teach anthropology. It's getting them right on the first try. Yes, Danielle, I did see MP4 format. What I did note is that sometimes it will add extra punctuation. Whereas YouTube automatic captions have no punctuation, sometimes Canvas Studio goes a little bit overboard on the punctuation. So I always give them a skim, make sure it makes sense, but really won't take me more than a few minutes, and I click publish, and now I have an accessible video with accessible captions that took me all of 10, 15 minutes tops. So in an 8-week course, when I'm doing video, video in the span of one module, this is my go-to tool for doing that. This is exactly what I do. Okay. Now, I did want to mention, not that one, this one, if there is a video on YouTube that you really, really like, but it does not have captions, okay, and it's not your video, like I'm going to go back to this first one I showed you. Okay, let's say I really like this video, but it has inaccurate captions, but I still want to use it anyway. Okay, we can do that, right? It's not as fast as the others I showed you, but you can. You can come over here, click on Canvas Studio again, click on Create, click on Add Media, and paste the YouTube video, and click on Add Video. And here's that video we just pulled from YouTube. It does not have captions. So we need to create from scratch. And then we select our language, English, please, and create. And we can just go line by line and type what is being said. Now, I'm not recommending this lightly because it's really time consuming. But if you've got that like 5-minute video that you just love to show to your students, but it's not captioned, this can be a solution for you. Again, it's not perfect, but it can work in a pinch. Okay. So a couple considerations for you about those closed captions. Also, I mentioned the concept of empowering our students with these accessibility tools. Yes, we have a lot of things that serve us, but let's also think about what serves them too. Check this out. In Canvas, there are 2 main tools that all of our students should be aware of. And I recommend that us as faculty tell our students about them in our welcome videos and our welcome modules, if you see them in class, whatever that may be. The first is called the Immersive Reader. And this is on every single Canvas page. Look at this one. Go to this page right here. It's at the top right of every Canvas page. And by clicking on it, students can press play.
Lesson 1.2, Language and Culture.
Okay, and it will read the page to them. And they can even click on a word like culture, and it will provide symbols for them.
Culture.
If there's a word that is new to them,
Anthropologist.
okay, this is a really, really helpful tool. They can even listen to it a little bit faster if they want to.
Anthropologists, like me. See them go.
That could be really helpful, right? I mean, think about it. You ever been tired of reading? Your eyes just, oh, I'm going to listen for 10 minutes, give my eyes a break. In an 8-week course that may have a little bit more online reading, sometimes being able to listen to it can give eyes that break. So this is designed for accessibility. Honestly, it serves everybody. Universal design, right? The second tool, oops, didn't mean to do that. Second tool is back to the Blackboard Ally accessibility checker. Again, back in Canvas in student mode, and it's so tiny. I wish they change this. But next to the page title, there's that same symbol. And then when you hover over it, it shows you alternative formats. And clicking on it, look, and students can do this. They can get different versions of that page content. They can do an EPUB, which is great if they have an iPad or a Kindle. They can read your course on their little Kindle device using the EPUB versions. Electronic Braille, obviously, for students who are blind or low vision. Audio, so they can download an MP3 file and maybe listen to it on their phone when they're driving or on the bus or whatever that may entail. Okay, so there's options for the students too. I tell my students about these things at the beginning of the term, and usually they say, oh, that's so great. I had no idea we could use those. So I recommend that you offer the tools to all of your students, not just the ones who disclose their accommodations to us. They can help everybody out. With that, as we're getting close to 3 o'clock, how did that happen? I want to emphasize accessibility is a process, not always a product. Meaning the work is ongoing. Every time we teach, every time we bring in something new, we should do so through that lens of universal design and accessibility. I wanted to provide some resources for you here, including DSP&S. They are our teammates in this ongoing work. Additionally, we have a number of trainings, self-paced trainings, Flex approved, that you can do in order to build your skill set. And then, of course, the online learning and educational technology team is here to support us with our questions on these important topics. Our key takeaways for the day. Bottom line, it serves all of our students develop accessible content. This can also take time. If your 8-week course starts in the first 8 weeks of fall, begin revisiting your content now, would be my recommendation, just to see where you stand, to see what you need to work on. Again, we have 3 content checkers. I didn't even get into PowerPoint and Microsoft Word. That's a whole other ball game, but there are tools to help us with that as well. Accessible multimedia like videos and podcasts is essential. And we should share these tools with our students, regardless of their abilities or disability status. I'm inviting you to keep learning more. We have this 32-page document for you. Check it out. It has recommendations, best practices regarding sections A, B, C, and D of the course design rubric. Lots of hands-on tips and tricks for accessibility as well. And I also want to shout out to the Center for Teaching and Learning. Again, I mentioned this is my last session in this 4-week series, but the Center for Teaching and Learning is still here, and you are welcome to drop in for their sessions as well. In fact, I believe next week is going to be all about 8-week teaching and the reflections. So check them out. If you haven't already done so, please drop on by. And if you're tired, or if you're not tired of the sound of my voice, feel free to check out our past workshops. Sections A, B, and C are on YouTube, and they are accurately closed captioned. I use Canvas Studio. Check them out if you missed one of those so you can get some more tips and tricks for your classes. And I want to thank you all. Gosh, whether this was your first session in the series or you've been to 2, 3, or 4, I appreciate your attendance. I do have a post-workshop survey that I will be emailing to you. I'm also going to drop that link in the chat now so you have it handy. Really just getting a little bit of feedback, anonymous feedback from you all on how this worked out for you. With that, I am going to stop the recording for the day and take some questions. But before I sign off for that recording, I want to say thank you so much for your time and attendance. I value your work, and I look forward to working with you moving forward. Take good care, everybody. Goodbye.